London on fire, the night the system, blinking red, failed. It begins with a 30-second phone video. Tuesday, 7:43 p.m., King's Cross. A commuter spots smoke curling from a crack in the pavement. He films it, shrugs, posts it. Londoners have seen stranger things. 20 minutes later, the clip has 2 million views. Because what he captured wasn't steam or a rubbish fire. It was the first spark of the largest nationwide unrest Britain has faced in more than a decade. Within minutes, a second video drops, different camera, same street. A bottle spins through the air, hits the concrete with a sharp, surgical crack, and a sheet of fire erupts outward. Sirens flicker inside the smoke as a police van catches flame from the inside out, glowing like a furnace. By 8:30 p.m., King's Cross is a war-zone mosaic of live streams. Burning pavement, advancing crowds, panicked officers, each angle contradicting the BBC's calm evening bulletin. And then the chanting begins. Protect our children. Not shouted, roared, coordinated, as if thousands learned the same phrase at once. The fire jumps to Shoreditch, then Camden, then Brixton, not as literal flames, but as synchronized outrage. Neighborhoods flare one by one like pressure valves blowing across the capital. Riot police form shields. The line holds, then buckles. Officers stumble backward as the crowd floods through the breach. Social media detonates. TikTok, Twitter, Telegram, all drowning in real-time footage. Traditional media falls behind, unable to keep pace with an internet moving at riot speed. Inside Downing Street, lights burn low. Ministers drift through hallways in silence. Hours pass without a statement. A whispered leak finally escapes. We've lost control of London Bridge. Not the landmark, the authority. Then comes the clip that cracks the illusion of order. A soot-streaked officer, visor shattered, leans against a wall. "Are you going to stop this?" someone asks. His voice is barely a whisper. We're no longer in control. 10 seconds, 15 million views. A government's credibility evaporates. By midnight, unrest spreads beyond London. Manchester's streets fill with marchers. Birmingham wakes to the sound of shouting. Leeds, Newcastle, Cardiff, all ignite with the same volatile rhythm. Outside migrant centers, clashes erupt. Batons swing. Crowds disperse. Crowds return. Britain convulses in real time. And then the censorship attempt begins. Broadcasts freeze mid-sentence, hashtags vanish from search results, videos are quietly throttled, but the government has misread the era. You cannot silence a hyper-connected public. VPNs spike. Encrypted channels flood with clips. The attempted information blackout becomes fuel. At 1:37 a.m., the Prime Minister finally appears. Pale, tie crooked. He insists everything is fully under control, while an unmistakable orange glow flickers through the window behind him. Viewers screenshot the contrast. Government assurances versus the visible inferno. Mid-sentence, the feed cuts. Not a glitch, a retreat. But the real turning point comes 2 hours later. Parliament Square, 2:14 a.m. Fires dying, smoke drifting low. A line of exhausted police stand behind shields. Then one officer steps forward. He lowers his shield to the ground, walks away. Silence ripples through the crowd. Another officer follows. Then another. Within minutes, an entire row of riot shields lies in a perfect line on the stones, a quiet, devastating symbol. The system has not been stormed. It has simply stopped participating. The footage becomes the defining image of the night. By 3 a.m., armored vehicles roll into London. Young soldiers, barely older than the protesters they face. No raised rifles, no shouted orders, just uncertainty. In Brixton, a group of older men, civilian clothes, military tattoos step between clashing groups. "We served once," one mutters to a reporter. "We'll stand again if we must." For a moment, the violence halts. Not because of government intervention, but because ordinary people construct their own fragile peace. Dawn reveals the physical aftermath: charred metal, shattered glass, graffiti-scarred walls. Not apocalyptic, but the invisible damage, the rupture of trust, is far deeper. Because this wasn't a riot in the traditional sense. It was a referendum on authority, a public rejection of a state perceived as out of touch, out of answers, and most damning out of honesty. The government tried to seize the narrative. Instead, it triggered the Streisand effect at national scale. Every takedown fed suspicion. Every delayed response amplified anger. Every contradiction between official statements and live stream evidence widened the credibility gulf. And so the question now hangs over Britain like smoke over the Thames. What comes after a night when the government loses not just control of the streets, but the belief of the people? Does the country return to normal once the glass is swept and the headlines fade? Or was this merely the first fault line of a larger political earthquake, one that has been building quietly for years and finally found its moment to break? That is the question Britain now faces, and no one, not the government, not the crowds, not the institutions, can yet say what comes next.